What's the deal? It's your boy J Mike, Mr. Athletic over everything for athletic over everything custom apparel. I wanted to give you guys a 1 year update on this particular machine behind me. This is the 1502 Ricoma embroidery machine. So many people have been watching some of the videos I've posted about my experience purchasing this particular machine, which was an absolute nightmare due to the fact that I couldn't find any company to take my $30,000 for a two-head machine, and it was pretty frustrating, right? But at the end of the day, got set up with Ricoma. I went with the two-head machine, and I'm just gonna give you guys a little the ins and outs from my standpoint, as an honest standpoint of someone who is not a paid influencer or shield. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you an honest review on my experience with the particular machine and give you guys some information that you might be able to find handy if you are going to buy an embroidery machine. I'll say this: I actually purchased this machine. I negotiated certain things within my particular deal. I knew, and pardon these big ass headphones. I'm doing this because I have my fan on and AC on in my workspace. But I negotiated that I did not want any of their hoops that come with standard with the machine. And when you get a two-head machine, you get double the amount of hoops. Now, what I asked for, instead of getting the hoops, I just said, well, give me extra hat hoops instead. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, they wound up working out where they sent me 8 hat hoops, but they still sent the regular hoops along with my particular deal or whatever. And that was cool or whatever. But I'll get into why I didn't want the hoops that come with the actual system or machine from the get. I also requested that I had to have the in-home training. I didn't want to do anything online. I wanted someone to come to my house and set up my machine the right way, and so I would have no excuses for it not to work. I wanted to make sure that the situation was smooth as possible. Now, the day the machine arrived, the one thing that, if you've never been around one of these machines, is one of the things that you'll never truly understand is how big the actual machine is. Excuse me. I'm a world champion powerlifter, one of the strongest men on earth, and I did it by myself because I'm like, this machine, how heavy could it be? This thing's like 1,000 pounds, man. The thing came on a crate. It was ridiculous that I attempted to move this by myself. Now, luckily, I was able to get it off of the pallet without messing the machine up or flipping it, and I was able to get it into my garage space and rolled it to where the home was originally. It wasn't here. I just moved it yesterday, actually. But have at least 4 people there to help you, especially now if you got to pick this thing up and all that kind of stuff. You may be better off hiring a moving company or someone who can handle something like this. I know you may not want to spend that extra money, but having this thing set up may be worth the extra money that it costs. I think it's like an extra $150. And if I was like having to have this thing moved upstairs or something like that, I would much rather pay a company to come in and take care of the responsibility just in case something broke. So from there, I got the machine. The machine was not damaged. It was much more substantial than I originally thought. And I set up my first appointment. I think my first appointment was a week after the machine arrived. So I received the machine like July 29th or something like that. My birthday was August 1st. So I had my training, I believe, on the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. And the guy came in. Now, when you set up your class, there's a few things that you have to understand, and also you have to know what to tell the person training you to that you want to do. Now, what I would recommend is if you're someone who has a clothing company or a brand and you know what you're going to be selling, you should go ahead and have those things digitized. You need to have the garments that you're going to be working on. So let me give you a perfect example. If you're working with hats, right? Now this is one of the hats I embroidered, but let's say for instance one of the hats that I had planned on using was a fitted cap, and the way the bell of the cap was situated, this machine does a terrible job with that particular brand of hat, right? And if I would have known that going in, like, yo, that hat doesn't embroider well, I wouldn't have invested a couple of $100s buying these hats that don't work well on this machine. It just, the way the hat is situated and the way that it loads on the machine, it bunches up in the center. I've gone through maybe 30, 40 hats with maybe 2 or 3 successes. So I know for sure that that particular hat does not work for my design. And I'm using this because every design is a little different. But the designs that I want to use and want to run, that hat does not work well. You know what I'm saying? So you'll find this trial and error situation over a period of time that you'll realize that certain garments work better on this machine than others, just based on how it's situated, you know, however you want to look at it, right? But what I'm saying is that if you plan on selling like certain shirts, like quality shirts or certain hats, bring them and have them ready for you with your trainer, because if your trainer, he may be able to get that thing right and he can actually show you the process of making your product work. And that's something I wish I had, because when my guy came, he did some designs he just had on his memory stick that didn't help me once he left. You know, I didn't know what to look for. I didn't understand certain things. But if you have all that prepared, you know exactly what your day is going to look like. Hey, I got my logo, athletic. I got this and that. I need this in a size, you know, such and such, such and such. And he'll have to be there and help you with this process. Now, what I will say is that when I got the machine, I'm one of those people who like, you know, hands on. I want to get right to it, but I actually waited until someone was going to help me set it up. I didn't know that before that person comes to help you with your machine, they're expecting it to be strung already. Now, what I will say is that when I was looking at buying a machine, when you start getting a head unit or how many needles that you'll need, you know, certain things I didn't realize, right? This is a 15 needle machine. So that means you have 15 colors. And in my head, I'm thinking, damn, I'm never going to have a design that has more than 5 colors. So why do I need, 15 needles? Well, you can look at it like that. But what you can also do is have the needle heights, different types of needles set in certain areas. So say, for instance, all the needles from 10 to 15, I had them set with thicker needles, and that's where I did all my hats. So I know that whenever I do my hats, that's what side it's on. Or if on the first 3, that's where I do more delicate things, so you can use a different type of thread and things of that nature. So it's more or less to give you versatility. Now, also what I've noticed is that depending on the head, depending on the needle or the head, they react different. Some of them are better. They're not going to break needles as much. You're not going to have string strays and stuff like that. So your machine has its own character and own tendencies, and you'll learn that through the process. But when I was like, you know what, I'm not touching the machine. I'm gonna let the guy come here, string the machine up for me, and so I don't mess anything up. And when he got here, he was like, yo, the machine's not up and running. Like, oh, well, I don't string machines. That's the first thing he tells me. And when he does, he's like, look, you gotta do this and do that. He stayed for like 10 minutes and left. And I'm like, damn, I just lost a day of my training because my machine wasn't laced up. But when I called Ricoma, they basically said, hey, if you wanted him to teach you how to clean your machine, wipe it down, he would have to do that if you request it. So understand what you're going through. Like, then to be honest